So, real quick, we talked about inequalities. Yes. Extras, just leave them in the center. I'll save them for my period 6 class. So, inequalities, unlike equations, do not have an equal sign, but they will have these signs. So if I say the word inequality, we still use symbols that are in that equation category, okay? So I'm going to put some expressions on the board. They're going to be absolute values. They're going to have inequalities, and I want you to stop and think. Are there solutions? Okay? And if there are, how many do you think there's going to be? Okay? So, first it's just, are there solutions, yes or no? Give me a thumbs up if that's a yes, there are solutions, a thumb down if there's no solution. Excellent. Can someone share why it's no solution? What was it? Negative. Okay, so if we have an absolute value on one side and a negative on this side, we're going to say no solution? Okay. Okay, stop and think. Don't say it out loud. The next one, you're going to do the same thing. Yes, there's a solution, or no, there's no solution. Okay? Pay very careful attention to the inequality symbol. Okay, I am seeing some mixed answers, okay? I'm seeing some yeses and nos. Okay, so is there any number that I could plug in for x that would give me a value less than 2? Alex, what could I put in there?
1.
1. So if I put in 1 is, absolute value of 1 is what? 1, which is less than 2. Good. So this one is a yes or a no? Yes. Yes. Okay. All right. There is a trick question coming up very soon. Okay, don't say it out loud. Thumbs up. Yes, there's a solution. Thumbs down. No, there's not. Okay, so I see some of these, a lot of these. I see one of these with both. Love it. Okay. Okay, but most of you are saying thumbs up. And I'm glad because you did really think about it. Our instinct is when there's a negative, we say no solution. Because I've been telling you, hey, no solution, no solution, no solution. We just did have evidence on that. Dang it. But that one's not. Why?
Because I can name a number greater than -4 that's a positive.
Okay, so give me a number.
1.
1. Oh, 1 is greater than -4.
Rich.
Okay, good. Is there a number that, what's another kind of number I could put in there? Oh, a -3. So if I put in a -3, absolute value of -3 is 3, and is 3 greater than -4? Okay, give me another one. Joe. -4. Ah, -4. Absolute value of -4 is 4. Is 4 greater than -4? Yes. Okay. What about -400?
Yeah.
Okay. What about 1/4?
Regular 1/4.
Regular 1/4.
Yeah.
Yes, because 1/4,
yeah.
absolute value of 1/4 is what?
1/4.
1/4, is that greater than negative? What? Okay. What about 0? Yes. Because 0, absolute value of 0 is what?
0.
0, and is 0 bigger than -4? Yeah, okay. -1 million. -2 billion. Negative Googleplex. Yeah, it is a number.
That's official. I remember in elementary school, everyone was like, no, it's not.
No, infinity's not a number, but Googleplex is. I forget. It's like, got like, I don't even remember. But my son and I looked it up. My son, who's at Century.
So Googleplex is like,
It's like a really big number. Okay, let me ask you guys this. Is there any number I can't put in for x? No. So every single number I plug in will give me an answer? Yes. Ooh. So, what do you think I would say the answer to that inequality is? All real numbers. Good. So this one is all real numbers. Okay? And in advanced math, you're gonna see this symbol a lot. A lot of you guys are gonna go to advanced math next year. I'd love to have you guys in my class next year. If I teach advanced math. Okay, but this one was no solution. Okay, so with inequalities, yes, sometimes when there's a negative, you're gonna say no solution. But when there's an inequality, sometimes it's gonna be all real numbers. Okay? So, we're going to get abstract now. I'm going to skip. There's one more prompt that's going to pop up, but it's a lot of thinking. And I'm going to skip it for now. Okay? 'Cause it's a lot more thinking. Okay. So, this is on page 2, slide 2. We're very abstract. This unit, the part that makes it difficult is just reading the math language. So, I'm going to tell you, translate that math language to your language, which might be teenager language. This might be,
Gang.
English. I don't know. Okay. This symbol is going to pop up over and over and over again. C is a number. So if I want to translate that symbol, that gibberish math language to English, what would I say? C is a what type of number? Negative. So numbers that are less than 0 are negative. Okay. So, C is what kind of number? It's a negative. Okay, so now I have this statement. I have absolute value is less than a negative. Okay, so does it have a solution? No. So what do I write? None or no solution. Okay. Ooh, this one's good. Okay. C, it's still a negative number. Absolute value is less than or equal to a negative number. Oh, I didn't trick you. Dang it. Okay. Here, C is greater than a negative number. What do you guys think?
Yes.
Ooh, okay, so yes, there's a solution. How many?
All real.
All real numbers. Good. Okay, and again, you can use this symbol. You'll see this symbol sometimes used in advanced math or calculus. Okay? Okay. Last one. C. Okay, I don't want to write too low, so I'm going to put it up here. This one is here. This one is right above it. Absolute value is greater or equal to a negative number. Does it have a solution? Yeah. What kind of solution? All real numbers. You're getting pretty good at this. It's a lot of thinking. And so you guys are sometimes used to, in a math class, not thinking, just memorizing steps. But that doesn't really work with Common Core. So that's probably, for some of you, when math started to get hard, was when you had to start thinking instead of just remembering a little trick or a little rule that maybe you learned in elementary school. Okay? So that's the part that makes it, but you guys are doing good. You're good thinkers. You're all really smart. I'm going to erase this. Okay, so I think I have another slide for us to think about. Okay, Again, there are questions just like this on the test that are that abstract. You have to read the math language, translate it to English. And the reason we do that is because the math language, that symbol, that's universal. They use those all over the world. Okay? But how we say it is important. Okay? Okay, so this is on your paper. It's box 3, same page. Okay, we're now going to fill in just a little reminder. Okay, I was going to pass out index cards, but I don't think I have enough for everybody. Okay, we'll put it in there and then I'll see if I can get some more index cards. Okay, so absolute value is less than a negative value. What am I going to write in here? No what? No what? No solution. Okay. Absolute value is greater than a negative value.
All reals.
All reals. Well, you can just say all reals because reals implies real numbers. It's a number system. Okay. Absolute value is less than a positive value.
None.
Is it none? So remember we had that one that had a 2 in there? Okay, I'm just going to put it off here to the side. So we had absolute value of x is less than 2. Did it have solutions? Yes. So I'm just going to write solutions exist. I haven't taught you how to find them yet. We may come back to this to add a little helpful hint. So solutions exist. Solve it. And it's very similar to solving equations, where you split it into 2. Okay? Okay, what about this one? Can absolute value be bigger than a positive value?
All reals.
Okay. Is it going to be all reals?
No.
Oh yeah. Because
No.
yeah.
Because if I had something like this, absolute value is greater than 2, I could put a 1 in there and that would not be true. So it's not all reals, but solutions exist. So what do we do when solutions exist?
Solve it.
Solve it! Okay, and I'm going to teach you guys how to do that. Okay? We okay so far? The hardest part, there are like 4 questions on the test. Maybe only 3. 3 or 4, I don't remember. 3 or 4. One of them is all reals. One of them is no solution. And then there's another one with no solution. Okay, so there's at least 3 that I can remember right now. Where you just isolate, stop, all solutions. No solution. Oh, keep going. Okay, so there's a couple of those too. Okay, all right. Okay, so let me see if this next slide is on there, on your paper. Is this one on there? Okay, so this is what it looks like on the test. Okay, do solutions exist? Now we're going to translate each step. Okay, so I have to think about it. Okay, absolute value is greater than b. I can't assume it's a negative because it's not saying that up here. So I go over here. So with this math language, b is what kind of number? Is a positive number. Good. So, when is absolute value greater than a positive number? Sometimes. So do solutions exist? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. And it'll look just like that on the test. Bubble A for yes, bubble B for no. Okay? So, let's see. Where did I put the little... Dang it. I'm always putting stuff down. Okay. So this one I would say yes. Oh. Not E. Yes. Okay. Okay. I gotta read the language again. It's B, it's less than a number, but I don't know if it's negative, so I gotta go over here. Where B is less than 0. What kind of number is B? Ooh, I hear positives and negatives.
Someone say positive.
Why would someone say positive? Okay, so is it negative? Why would someone say negative? Because it's less than 0. Very good. Okay. Okay, so negative. Okay, so do the solutions exist? Well, do they? No. Okay.
Caught you slipping. Caught
Okay.
you slipping.
Okay, here. What kind of number is B? B is greater than 0. What kind of number is B?
Positive.
B is a positive. Is a positive number. Okay? So, positive number. Do we have solutions? Can absolute value be bigger than a positive number?
Yes.
Oh yeah, it was already up there, huh? Dang it. Guess I was trying to prove a point. But I don't know what point I was trying to prove. Okay, tricky question. There's no B anymore. I have to translate what this means. Can absolute value be greater than 0? Yes, because what kind of numbers are greater than 0? Positive numbers. Okay. So absolute value is greater than a positive number, and are we saying yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Good. So there will be a series of questions on the test. It'll be like 7, 8, 9, 10, something like that. And then you'll just say A for yes, something like that. Okay? You guys could probably do that now, huh? I tell you what, when I taught this a couple years ago, we didn't practice this enough, like reading the language, and it was confusing. So we might need to practice it again, just so that we don't forget. But we're going to be interpreting that math language, translating it to English over and over and over again. Because the symbols can be so confusing to some students. To others, it's like, bam, piece of cake. Yes, Michelle?
So B can be positive or negative.
So yes, so B in this case can be positive or negative because it's not saying it at the beginning of the question. So I have to look at each and every one. And so here, B is bigger than 0, so is it positive or negative? Positive. And then here, B is less than 0, so is it positive or negative? Negative. Good. Uh-huh.
Always.
In the other one, the difference here, on here, was it tells you at the beginning that C is less than 0. So then for all of these situations, what kind of number is C? Negative. So it has to tell you somewhere in the instructions, whether it's in the actual question or if it says 4 numbers, 4, 5, 6, and 7, this is the value for C. Okay? Great, great question. It's all about reading the text, which is why we're annotating in math. You maybe have not done that before. How many of you have annotated in math before with all these colors and highlighting? Good. How many of your teachers taught you how to do it in your math class? Awesome. You had a good teacher. Did you? Yes. He's a rock star. Everybody loves him. Getting in? It's pretty awesome, right?
Yeah, I had fun. It was different.
We are recording, so let's make sure. I'll pause.
His voice put me to sleep every day.
I'll pause.
You can edit the video.
Oh, no. Okay.
Yep.
We good.
Hey, he's my homie. They're really
Okay.
my homies, though.
Let's see. I'm going to skip this part. Okay, we are going to now we're going to annotate some steps here. We're going to solve inequalities, so you have to turn the page. We're looking at page 3 now. Page 3, slide 1. Okay, let's annotate a few important key steps. go back to that comment that Rebecca made earlier in the class period. She said, so we isolate before we determine? Yes. Okay? So isolate the absolute value, highlight it, you do that first. Okay? So if you're afraid you're going to forget that, make yourself a little annotated note. Do this first. Sometimes in my steps you can reverse the order. This one you cannot reverse it. Do this first. Okay. Then we're going to determine, and that's when I stop and think. Okay? So I might write that, stop and think. Because I don't always, especially when I'm taking a test, I don't always stop and think. I rush through it so I can get done real fast, especially when I'm doing my homework. But then on the test, I get nervous. Okay? So I want to practice that in my homework. Stop and think, take my time, because on the test, I don't want to just blow over it and forget about it. Okay? So I want you to circle these two things here. No solutions when it's less than a negative. All solutions are all real numbers when it's greater than a negative. I will teach you guys these two, but if it's a positive number, I just know that solutions exist, okay? Some teachers use a shortcut called the or and shortcut. Yeah, and I don't remember it, so I don't like to teach what I can't remember myself. Okay. But I can. I just have to look at my notes. Okay, so we're gonna write two inequalities just like you did. So the rest of it is the same. Okay? The rest of it is the same. You're gonna write two inequalities. Remember how we did that? We have one positive, one negative. You guys remember that? Okay? But here's something that is different. The part that's different, I'm going to highlight this one. I'm using all my good pens here. Okay, I want to make sure I make a big, big, bold mark. Okay? So I don't have another really, really great pen. I use something really, really good. I'm using the chartreuse pen. Okay? There's a warning here. There's a symbol here and a symbol here. It says split the inequality when you divide by a negative. Do you guys remember doing that in the past?
Yes.
Every time you multiply or divide both sides, you're shifting the balance, okay? So if I have something like negative x is greater than 2, if I divide both sides by negative 1, the balance shifts, and this one becomes the heavier one. Okay, so when you multiply or divide both sides of an inequality by a negative, it shifts the balance. It switches it to the other side. Okay, so you're going to flip, and I'm going to write that up here. It says when you divide, but there's a couple problems in the homework where you might multiply. So, or multiply by a negative. Okay, and then it can happen more than once in the same problem. So it can happen at the very beginning when you're isolating. It's going to happen here. When you divide both sides by negative 1 here, you are going to have to flip again. Okay? And as you're solving, you might have to do it again. You could have to flip the inequality 3 times in one problem. So you're going to do it over. You want to make sure. So I do have that down here. Warning. The inequality only flips when you multiply or divide both sides. I'm going to bold that. By a negative. So I'm going to ask you guys just a couple of quick little questions. Okay. It doesn't even have to be an absolute value. Okay. Okay. How do I isolate? I'll put my absolute value in. How do I isolate the absolute value? Divide by -2. Do I flip the inequality? Did I multiply or divide both sides by negative?
Yes.
Yes. So do I flip the inequality? Yes. Okay. So I have here, I divided both sides by a negative, so I flip it. Okay? And so I would have absolute value is less than -2. Ooh, real quick. Does it have a solution?
No.
No. Yes. Okay. You don't have to write this part down. Okay? Alright, let me see. Let me try another one. Absolute value of x plus 2 is greater than 4. How do I isolate the absolute value? -2 minus 2. Okay, do I have to flip the inequality?
No.
No, why not? There's a negative.
You didn't multiply or divide.
I did not multiply or divide. Okay? I divided, so I did it. Here I did not divide. Okay? Let me see. 2, absolute value of x is greater than 4. How do I isolate the absolute value?
Divide by 2.
Divide by 2. Okay, oh, that's 2. Okay, do I have to flip the inequality? But I divided both sides. But it's not a negative. Okay? Okay, so then we're going to talk about the graphing. I will show you guys that. So just put like a little box around it. I will show you guys how to do that part. I do want you to highlight this one part. Your solutions are going to be an interval. And when we were talking about it in the previous unit and in 2.1, what did I tell you that interval meant? Domain. So interval notation is just the domain. But you don't have to worry. You're not going to be graphing the whole like XY coordinate grid. You're only going to graph something on a number line. And when we get there, I'll explain what that looks like and why we do it that way. Okay? Are we okay? Can we do our first example? Yes. Okay. I just figured out how to use my new pen, my point right pen. Yours teachers, your other teachers have these?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just got it. It's not working yet, but so then I don't have to erase anymore. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be so awesome. Okay. So here's our first example. Is it on the same page? There's 2 examples on that page. We're gonna do all of the examples like these, and then I need to check to make sure you guys understand how to do numbers 5 and 6 and 13 before you leave today, because those are test questions. Okay? All right. So it's the same as equations except for this flipping part. Okay? So I'm going to bring down my equation. I know, that sounded weird. Your teacher's crazy. But fun, I think. Okay. First step is to determine a solution. No, isolate. Okay, is it isolated? Yes. On some of them on your test, they will already be isolated. Okay, no, thank you. Okay, so then I stop, and what do? Think. Okay, ooh, that's one of my words. Look. Think. Oh. Yeah, those are kind of my favorite words. Annotate, think. We'll get to that one later. Okay. What are we thinking about? Oh, there's sometimes a solution. How'd you know that, Rebecca?
Because there are numbers less than 15.
There are numbers less than 15 that are positive. Okay, so what did we do when it was an equation? When we knew there was a solution? I know you like all my hashtags. Hashtag no stress. Hashtag ask for help. Hashtag do your best. Okay? Hashtag collaborate. Hashtag try it. Hashtag persevere. Okay. All right, you guys ready? What did we do in equations when we figured out that there were some solutions? How did I solve it? I don't plug it in. Write two equations. Okay, I'm going to write two. Okay. All right, now what was special about my two equations? How do I get two? How are they different?
One has to be positive.
One has to be positive. One has to be negative. Does anything else change? No. Okay, so the inside of my absolute value is the same. I just know that it could have been positive or it could have been negative. Okay? The inside is still the same. The less than 15 is still the same. So now I'm going to solve both. Okay? I don't have to worry at this point if there's a solution. I know there's a solution. There's a solution to both of them. Okay? So, how do I now isolate the x? How do I solve for x? What do I do? Divide?
It should be the positive one.
Okay, so I'm going to divide by positive 1. And I'm going to get 5 minus 2x is less than 15. What do I do on that one?
Divide by negative one.
Divide by negative 1. Okay, negative. Okay, so that's negative 15. Okay, wait a minute. Didn't you guys say I have to do something when there's a negative involved? Switch the sign. Okay, so I divided both sides by a negative. What sign flips? The inequality. So, did your teachers ever teach you alligator? So if the alligator's opening this way,
He's hungry this way.
okay, and I flip it, which way does he go down? This way.
Finger puppet, flip.
Okay. You guys can't do finger puppets because my projections are there. Only I can. But only I can. Okay.
Nick.
Okay, guys. The rest is pretty easy from here. There's going to be one little funky thing, though. Okay? In both, what do I do next?
Subtract 5.
Subtract 5. What is 15 minus 5? 10. Do I flip the sign again?
Nope.
No, but wait a minute. There's a negative again.
But you did not subtract.
But
But you didn't divide.
But
Or
I
multiply.
didn't divide. It was subtraction. Subtraction is different than division. Okay. So, does the sign flip or does it stay the same? Stays the same. Okay. So, I'm going to do that on this side. Okay, but when I subtract negative 15 and negative 5, or subtract 5 from negative 15, what do I get?
Negative 20.
Negative 20. Do I flip the sign? No.
Uh-uh.
Why again?
Because you subtracted when you did.
I subtracted, I didn't divide. Good. Okay. In both, what do I do next?
Divide by negative 2.
Divide by negative 2. Okay, I can do that.
Stop. Okay, you don't.
Oh, stop! Why am I stopping?
Wait, no, I was on. Never mind.
No, stop it. That's what you missed.
That's so not annoying.
Yeah.
You tell him that the
Say
answer?
that, or did you say it?
What? Okay, wait a minute. We are stopping. Why are we stopping?
Because you gotta flip it.
Because you gotta flip it. The here or there.
Both of them. Both of them.
Oh, we're stopping. 'Cause
Why you
we're
stopping,
thinking-
Nick?
That's why I said
Skirt.
Oh, you know it. Okay, so we divided by a negative. So I flip it. Okay. So then I divided by a negative and I
Flip it.
flip it. Oh my gosh. Look,
Flip
that
it.
one's pointing
I'll
to
flip you over.
that way and that one's pointing this way. Okay. X is greater than negative 5.
Yeah.
X is less than What's a negative divided by a negative?
10.
Positive 10. Okay, so are you guys okay with flipping inequalities? Okay. So here's a new part. It's new. Okay, you have to give your answer in the interval notation. Remember interval? Okay, interval is what? Domain. So we get domain from, is it the x numbers or the y numbers? X numbers. Are those vertical or horizontal? Horizontal. So we have to graph the x-axis in order to figure out the domain. Okay? So, AKA, x-axis is a number line. Has you guys ever used a number line before? Probably in elementary school, right?
Got it.
Okay, so I'm going to do it, should I do it right here on the side? Okay, so I'm not going to make you put all kinds of crazy numbers on your number line, your x-axis. I only care about two numbers. Which two numbers do you think I care about? -5 and 10. Okay, so I'm going to put them both on here, but which one goes on the left? -5, very good. Which one goes on the right? 10. Okay, so we don't need y because there's no y in this inequality. So it's just x. So just x, just a number line, just the x-axis. Okay, but now I got to take you back. There's a little bit of old school from last week. How do I graph the point when it's a greater than symbol? Open circle. Okay, you got to use an open circle. Okay. So when do I use a closed circle then?
Or equal to.
When there's an equal to. Okay. So what about that one? Open. Okay. Okay. Then we have to highlight the values, and we did this with our restricted functions in 1.5 and the piecewise in 1.6. So I go to the 5, and then the arrow tells me which part to trace. Am I tracing to the left or to the right of the -5? Wait, to the left or to the right? Oh, to the right. Okay? So we think of it like an arrow. The arrow is pointing to the -5 to the left. So we trace to the left. Okay. X is less than 10. Okay. So am I going to trace from the 10 to the left or to the right? To the left. Okay. So I have this graph, and now I need to do the interval, and you guys said domain. Okay? So I only care about the x values in the domain anyway. So what is the furthest left the graph goes? -5, comma, what is the furthest right the graph goes? 10. What kind of bracket around the -5? Curvy or staple? Curvy. So, curvy for open circles. When do I do staples again? For the closed circles. Okay? So, what am I going to put on the 10 then? Curvy or staple? Nice. Okay? Is it all right? Do you guys want to try number 5 in your homework? It's a little bit different. I will tell you, we're going to have to go over it. It's a little bit different. So go ahead, get out homework, try number 5.